Deep beneath the Earth, hidden from public view, lies SCP-8002. It is not a place of dread, not a prison for the anomalous. It is a hospital, a place of healing. Within its vast, sterile halls, the unimaginable becomes the routine. The impossible is made possible. SCP-8002 stands as a testament to human ingenuity, a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the brink. It is a marvel of engineering and medical science, where the brightest minds dedicate themselves to mending the wounds inflicted by the unknown. Here, the casualties of the anomalous find solace, a chance at recovery. But even in this bastion of healing, a shadow lurks. Whispers travel through the sterile corridors, hushed conversations hinting at a growing problem. Cleric, the miracle worker, the savior, is not what it seems. The first signs are subtle, a patient's recovery taking slightly longer than expected, a minor infection lingering a little too long. Then the whispers grow louder. Doctors exchange worried glances, their faces etched with concern. Cleric's efficacy seems to be waning. The implications are staggering. For the Foundation, Cleric is more than just a hospital. It is an indispensable asset, a key component in its ongoing struggle against the anomalous. Without Cleric, the Foundation's ability to protect humanity from the unknown is severely compromised. As the truth about Cleric's decline becomes undeniable, a sense of dread begins to permeate the once sterile halls of SCP-8002. The very foundation upon which this bastion of healing was built is crumbling, and the consequences could be catastrophic. Cleric, an acronym for Controlled Life Extension and Rapid Injury Cure, was hailed as a medical marvel. Developed in secrecy by the Foundation's brightest minds, it promised to revolutionize healthcare, not just for its personnel, but for all mankind. The implications were staggering: extended lifespans, rapid recovery from injuries, and even the potential to cure previously untreatable diseases. The science behind Cleric was complex, bordering on the anomalous itself. It involved manipulating a unique form of radiation, dubbed Cleric radiation, CR, capable of stimulating cellular regeneration at an unprecedented rate. Exposure to CR within controlled environments yielded astonishing results. Bones mended in hours, burns healed without scarring, and even the ravages of time seemed to slow. Initial trials were nothing short of miraculous. MTF operatives, often returning from missions bearing horrific injuries, walked out of SCP-8000 2 days later, scars faded, bodies whole. Researchers exposed to dangerous anomalies as part of their work found their ailments vanishing, their health restored. Cleric was a beacon of hope, proof that the Foundation could not only contain the anomalous, but also harness it for the betterment of humanity. The success stories spread like wildfire through the Foundation. Doctors marveled at the speed and efficacy of Cleric treatments. Patients, once resigned to their fates, found themselves granted a second chance at life. A sense of optimism, a belief that even the most grievous wounds could be healed, permeated SCP-8002. The future seemed limitless. The first sign of trouble surfaced in the sublevels of SCP-8002, hidden amidst the labyrinthine corridors and restricted access areas. Technicians, tasked with monitoring Cleric's intricate systems, began noticing inconsistencies. Energy fluctuations, though minor, appeared with increasing frequency. Error logs, usually empty, started displaying cryptic messages. At first, these anomalies were dismissed as glitches, attributed to the system's immense complexity. Routine maintenance checks were conducted, software patches implemented. Yet, the inconsistencies persisted, growing more frequent, more pronounced. A sense of unease began to settle among the technicians, a gnawing suspicion that something was amiss. Word of the anomalies eventually reached the upper echelons of SCP-8002's administration. Concerns were raised, investigations launched, data analysis teams were assembled, tasked with combing through mountains of sensor readings and system logs, searching for an explanation. Still, the cause remained elusive, shrouded in technical jargon and the complexities of anomalous science. Despite the growing unease, life at SCP-8002 continued as normal. Patients were admitted, treated, and discharged, seemingly none the wiser to the whispers circulating behind closed doors. The Foundation, ever reliant on Cleric's healing touch, remained oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Section 3. A glimmer of hope, a shadow of fear. A breakthrough came in the form of a single patient, a young Foundation researcher admitted with a severe case of anomalous radiation poisoning. His prognosis was grim, his body ravaged by the unseen energy. Cleric, as always, was his only hope. He was prepped, sedated, and lowered into the heart of the facility, into the embrace of the glowing chamber where CR worked its magic. For the first few hours, everything seemed normal. Vitals stabilized, cellular regeneration commenced. The researcher's condition, though still critical, showed signs of improvement. Then, the unexpected occurred. His vital signs plummeted. The CR levels, instead of stabilizing his condition, began to fluctuate wildly, as if the system itself were in distress. Emergency protocols were initiated. Medical personnel worked feverishly, administering countermeasures, attempting to stabilize the researcher's condition. Their efforts proved futile. The damage, amplified by the erratic CR fluctuations, proved too severe. The researcher succumbed to his injuries, his death marking the first casualty directly attributed to Cleric. The news of the researcher's death sent shockwaves through SCP-8002. The whispers, once confined to the shadows, grew louder, transforming into murmurs of fear and uncertainty. The Foundation, for so long reliant on Cleric's unwavering efficacy, was forced to confront a terrifying possibility. What if the system that had saved countless lives was now a threat to the very people it was designed to protect? Section 1. A System in Decline. The death of the young researcher marked a turning point for SCP-8002. The whispers of doubt transformed into a chorus of concern. The once unthinkable, the failure of Cleric, was now a terrifying reality. The very foundation of the facility, the belief in the miraculous healing power of Cleric radiation, began to crumble. The decline was gradual at first, almost imperceptible. Recovery times lengthened. Minor injuries lingered. Patients who would have once walked out of SCP-8002 fully healed, now left with lingering aches, phantom pains, and a sense of unease. The efficiency of Cleric, once its hallmark, was fading. As the situation worsened, the pressure on SCP-8002's staff intensified. Doctors, accustomed to witnessing miraculous recoveries, were now faced with the limitations of their most valuable tool. Nurses, once bearers of hope and reassurance, found themselves fielding difficult questions, their smiles strained. The weight of their responsibility, of being the last line of defense against the anomalous, grew heavier with each passing day. The Foundation, desperate for answers, poured resources into investigating the cause of Cleric's decline. Teams of specialists, recruited from across the organization, descended upon SCP-8002, their faces grim, their eyes betraying a mixture of determination and fear. The hunt for a solution, for a way to restore Cleric to its former glory, had begun. Section 2. The Human Cost. Behind the sterile walls and advanced technology of SCP-8002, the human cost of Cleric's decline became increasingly apparent. Patients, once hopeful for a swift recovery, now faced extended stays, their bodies slow to heal, their spirits worn down by uncertainty. The fear, once reserved for the anomalous, now found a new target, the very system that was supposed to protect them. The stories began to circulate, whispered amongst patients in the dimly lit wards. A veteran MTF operative, his body riddled with shrapnel from countless encounters with the unknown, found his wounds refusing to close, the pain a constant reminder of his failing body. A young researcher, her mind scarred by a mimetic encounter, discovered that the mental anguish lingered, the nightmares more vivid, the fear more profound. The once sterile halls of SCP-8002, once filled with the quiet hum of healing and the murmur of gratitude, now echoed with a different kind of sound. The muffled sobs of pain, the whispered prayers for relief, the anguished cries of those who had placed their faith in a system that was failing them. The staff, though dedicated and compassionate, found themselves stretched thin, their resources dwindling, their morale plummeting. The burden of care, once shared with the infallible efficiency of Cleric, now rested solely on their shoulders. The faces of the doctors and nurses, once reflecting the satisfaction of healing, now bore the weight of a losing battle, a constant reminder of the lives hanging in the balance. Section 3. Strained Resources. As Cleric faltered, the strain on SCP-8002's resources became increasingly evident. The facility, designed to handle a high volume of patients with rapid turnover, was now faced with extended stays, complex cases, and a dwindling supply of Cleric radiation. The delicate balance, once maintained with clinical precision, began to tip precariously. The rationing began subtly. Non-essential personnel were the first to experience delays. Their treatments postponed, their appointments rescheduled. Then, as the situation worsened, the restrictions tightened. Priority was given to active MTF operatives, their roles deemed too crucial to risk. Researchers, their work deemed essential to the Foundation's mission, were next in line. The once pristine waiting rooms of SCP-8002, once filled with a sense of quiet anticipation, now overflowed with anxious patients, their faces etched with worry, their eyes darting nervously at the slightest sound. The air, once sterile and reassuring, now crackled with tension, a palpable sense of fear and uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. The administration, faced with an unprecedented crisis, struggled to maintain order. Emergency protocols were implemented, resources diverted, and staff pushed to their limits. Yet, the situation continued to deteriorate. The once unthinkable, the possibility of SCP-8002 being overwhelmed, loomed large, a stark reminder of the fragility of even the most advanced technology. Section 4, Seeds of Distrust. As Cleric faltered and the situation at SCP-8002 deteriorated, a new threat emerged: distrust. The Foundation, built on a foundation of secrecy and control, found its authority challenged, its motives questioned. The whispers that had once circulated in the shadows now grew louder, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Among the patients, particularly those experiencing the most severe effects of Cleric's decline, rumors spread like wildfire. Conspiracy theories flourished, each more outlandish than the last. Some whispered that the Foundation, in its hubris, had angered a powerful anomalous entity, that Cleric's failure was a form of divine retribution. Others, more cynical, suggested that the Foundation had deliberately sabotaged Cleric, that the rationing of treatment was a calculated move to weed out the weak, to conserve resources for a select few. The seeds of doubt, once sown, took root quickly, spreading through the ranks, undermining the very foundations of trust upon which the Foundation was built. The administration, facing a crisis of both medical and social proportions, struggled to contain the growing unrest. Denials were issued, reassurances offered, but the damage had been done. The belief in the Foundation's infallibility, in its unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of its personnel, had been shaken. The consequences of this erosion of trust, though difficult to predict, were sure to be far-reaching and profound. Section 1. The Weight of Command. The burden of the Cleric crisis fell heavily on the shoulders of Director Torres. The once pristine office, a symbol of authority and order, now felt more like a prison, its walls closing in, suffocating him with the weight of responsibility. The reports that crossed his desk, each one a testament to Cleric's decline, blurred into a sea of grim statistics and dire projections. Sleep, once a refuge from the day's burdens, now offered no escape. His dreams were haunted by the faces of the afflicted, their pleas for help echoing in his ears. The weight of their suffering, of the trust they had placed in him, in the Foundation, pressed down on him, threatening to crush him beneath its immense weight. The easy answers, the quick fixes that had once defined his leadership, now eluded him. The situation was too complex, the stakes too high. Every decision, every allocation of resources carried the potential for unintended consequences, for exacerbating an already dire situation. He found himself caught between the demands of his superiors, who demanded results, who saw only the bottom line, and the needs of his staff, who were stretched thin, their morale plummeting, their faith in the Foundation wavering. The pressure, relentless and unforgiving, threatened to break him. Section 2. Ethical Quagmires. The Cleric crisis forced the Foundation to confront a series of agonizing ethical dilemmas. The rationing of treatment, once a necessary evil, now presented a stark moral quandary. Who lived, who waited, and who was left to face the consequences of a failing system? The criteria, initially clear-cut, became increasingly blurred as the situation worsened. Should priority be given to those with the most years of service, to those who had sacrificed the most for the Foundation? Or should it be based on the severity of their condition, on their chances of survival? The weight of these decisions fell heavily on the shoulders of the medical staff. Doctors, trained to heal, to preserve life, now found themselves forced to make impossible choices, to prioritize one life over another. The Hippocratic Oath, once a sacred vow, now felt like a cruel joke, a constant reminder of their inability to fulfill their sworn duty. The ethical implications extended beyond the rationing of treatment. The use of amnestics, once a standard procedure to protect the secrecy of the Foundation, now carried a sinister undertone. Was it ethical to erase the memories of those who had suffered as a result of Cleric's decline? To rob them of their right to know the truth? The questions lingered, unanswered, casting a long shadow over SCP-8002. Section 3, Systemic Breakdown. The Cleric crisis exposed a fundamental flaw in the Foundation's approach to containment, its over-reliance on a single centralized solution. For years, SCP-8002, with its miraculous healing capabilities, had served as a crutch, a safety net, that had allowed the Foundation to take risks, to push the boundaries of containment, knowing that even the most grievous wounds could be healed. Now, with Cleric faltering, the cracks in the system were impossible to ignore. The lack of redundancy of alternative solutions left the Foundation vulnerable, its ability to contain the anomalous severely compromised. The unthinkable, once a distant possibility, now loomed large, a constant threat that cast a long shadow over the organization. The consequences of this systemic breakdown were felt far beyond the sterile walls of SCP-8002. Containment breaches, once rare occurrences, became more frequent, more severe. The anomalous, no longer held at bay by the Foundation's once impenetrable defenses, began to seep into the world, threatening the delicate balance that kept humanity safe. The Foundation, for so long a bastion of order in a chaotic world, now found itself teetering on the brink. The Cleric crisis, once a localized problem, had exposed a systemic weakness, a fundamental flaw that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the organization. The future, once bright with the promise of containment, now seemed uncertain, shrouded in a darkness that threatened to consume all. Section 1. Echoes in the Void. The failing light of Cleric cast a long shadow, stretching far beyond the confines of SCP-8002. The world outside, oblivious to the silent crisis unfolding beneath the surface, continued its relentless march, its citizens pursuing their daily lives, unaware of the delicate balance upon which their existence teetered. Within the Foundation, the mood was somber. The once unshakable belief in their mission, in their ability to contain the anomalous and protect humanity, had been shaken to its core. The failure of Cleric, their most potent weapon against the unknown, had exposed a vulnerability, a chink in their armor that threatened to unravel all they had worked for. Reports from containment sites across the globe painted a grim picture. Incidents were on the rise, containment breaches becoming more frequent, more severe. The anomalous, as if sensing the Foundation's weakening grip, seemed to be growing bolder, testing the limits of their control. The whispers that had once circulated in the shadows, whispers of doubt and fear, now echoed through the once sacred halls of the Foundation. The world, for so long blissfully unaware of the dangers lurking in the darkness, was on the brink of being consumed by the very forces the Foundation had sworn to contain. Section 2. Shifting Sands of Trust. The Foundation's authority, once absolute, began to crumble alongside Cleric. The governments of the world, for so long content to turn a blind eye to the Foundation's activities in exchange for their protection, now demanded answers. The questions came in a barrage of diplomatic cables, tense phone calls, and closed-door meetings. How could a system as advanced as Cleric simply fail? What safeguards were in place to prevent such a catastrophic failure? And most importantly, what was the Foundation doing to rectify the situation before it spiraled out of control? The Foundation, bound by its oaths of secrecy, could offer no easy answers. The truth, that their most valuable asset was failing, that their ability to contain the anomalous was severely compromised, was simply too dangerous to reveal. To do so would risk panic, chaos, and the very collapse of the global order. Instead, they offered reassurances, veiled truths, and promises of swift action. They bought time, hoping against hope that a solution could be found before the facade crumbled, before the world discovered the truth, that the guardians they had placed their trust in were no longer capable of protecting them. Section 3. The human element. In the face of this unprecedented crisis, the true nature of the Foundation was revealed. The men and women who had dedicated their lives to containing the anomalous, who had faced down horrors unimaginable to the average person, now faced a different kind of challenge. A challenge to their resolve, their faith, and their very humanity. Some crumbled under the pressure, their spirits broken by the weight of responsibility, their minds haunted by the suffering they were powerless to prevent. Others, however, rose to the occasion, their dedication to the Foundation's mission burning brighter than ever before. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, pushing past exhaustion, clinging to the faintest glimmer of hope. Researchers toiled day and night, their minds racing, desperate to unravel the mysteries of Cleric's decline, to find a way to restore its healing touch. Even as the world outside continued its oblivious march, unaware of the silent struggle taking place beneath the surface, the men and women of the Foundation fought on, driven by a sense of duty, a belief in something larger than themselves, a belief that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the light of humanity could still prevail. Section 1. The Reckoning of Hubris. The Cleric Crisis served as a harsh lesson for the Foundation, a stark reminder of the limits of technology and the hubris of believing that even the most advanced creations could conquer the unknown. The facility, once a symbol of human ingenuity and a testament to the Foundation's unwavering commitment to protecting humanity from the anomalous, now stood as a monument to their miscalculations. For years, SCP-8002 had operated with an air of invincibility. Its gleaming corridors and state-of-the-art equipment whispered promises of healing, of a future where the wounds inflicted by the anomalous could be mended with ease. The Foundation, blinded by its successes, had placed too much faith in a single solution, failing to anticipate the consequences of its potential failure. The rationing of cleric radiation, the mounting casualties, and the growing unrest among the ranks exposed the fragility of the Foundation's control. The world, for so long kept at a safe distance from the anomalous, now seemed to press in from all sides, its darkness threatening to consume the very order the Foundation had sworn to maintain. The Cleric Crisis forced the Foundation to confront an uncomfortable truth. Their mastery over the anomalous was an illusion, a delicate balancing act maintained through constant vigilance and a healthy dose of fear. The failure of SCP-8002 shattered that illusion, leaving behind a residue of doubt and uncertainty that would linger long after the immediate crisis had passed. Section 2. The Price of Miracles. The true cost of the Cleric Crisis extended far beyond the physical and logistical challenges it presented. It struck at the very heart of the Foundation, eroding the trust and morale that had held the organization together through countless trials and tribulations. The men and women who had dedicated their lives to containing the anomalous, who had faced down horrors unimaginable to the average person, now found themselves grappling with a different kind of enemy: despair. The once unwavering belief in the Foundation's mission, in their ability to make a difference in a world teetering on the brink, wavered under the weight of Cleric's failure. The stories of suffering, of lives lost or irrevocably altered, echoed through the halls of SCP-8002 and beyond, leaving behind a trail of disillusionment and resentment. The crisis also exposed the human cost of the Foundation's reliance on secrecy and control. The patients, kept in the dark about the true nature of Cleric's decline, felt betrayed, their trust shattered. The rumors, the conspiracy theories, and the growing sense of paranoia served as a constant reminder of the dangers of withholding information, even with the best of intentions. The Cleric Crisis taught the Foundation a valuable lesson. Miracles come at a price. The pursuit of technological advancement, while essential to the Foundation's mission, could not come at the expense of transparency, compassion, and the well-being of its most valuable asset, its people. Section 3. Seeds of Resilience. Yet even in the darkest hours, amidst the wreckage of their shattered assumptions, the seeds of resilience began to sprout within the Foundation. The cleric crisis, while a tragedy in its own right, also served as a catalyst for change, forcing the organization to confront its flaws and reevaluate its priorities. The scramble to find a solution to cleric's decline sparked a wave of innovation and collaboration. Researchers, engineers, and medical personnel from across the Foundation pooled their knowledge and expertise, working tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the failing system. Old rivalries were set aside, replaced by a shared sense of purpose and a determination to prevent a similar catastrophe from ever happening again. The crisis also forced the Foundation to confront its over-reliance on secrecy and control. The need for transparency, for open communication and collaboration, became increasingly apparent. Steps were taken, albeit cautiously, to improve communication channels, to share information more freely, and to involve more personnel in the decision-making process. The cleric crisis, while a tragedy, also served as a crucible, forging a new generation of Foundation personnel, tempered by adversity and driven by a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would be long and arduous, but the Foundation, armed with the hard-won lessons of the past, would face the future with a newfound sense of resilience, determined to build a better, more transparent, and ultimately more humane organization.